Evil Genius 2 is the latest world domination / base building simulation game released by Rebellion Games and is the sequel to the 2004 classic Evil Genius: The World Domination Simulation. Now, the game has mixed somewhat of a mixed response from Steam, but I believe that hidden in that mess of a game is something that is genuinely worth playing and is definitely a lot of fun. So I've decided to collate 50 tips for new players, and these tips are applicable to every single Evil Genius and island, and if you'd like specific tips for each genius or island, then let me know in the comments. But first, the COLONELDAMNEDERS merch store is welcoming its latest arrival, The Thickest One, a sensual rendition of Grom the Paunch as Poison Ivy, as drawn by our very own Awesome Jedi. You can pick this up on a t-shirt, hoodie, sticker or mug, as well as the new arrival to the catalogue, socks. All items also come in several colours, so there's sure to be something for you. To celebrate this, the site has undergone some huge changes. There is now one t-shirt and hoodie option per item to keep things simple. All prices have also been set to lower than ever before. On top of this, you can also get 10% off your purchase by using the code SEXYGROM at checkout. This code expires on the 30th of April, so get in there quick to make use of it. So head on over to the link in the description, browse the YouTube merch shelf, or go to teespring.com/stores/COLONELDAMNEDERS to get yourself something nice. That's teespring.com/stores/COLONELDAMNEDERS. You become a fashion icon and also support the channel. Now, without further ado, let's get into these tips because there are 50, so it might take us some time. Vaults aren't really needed when you get started. The tutorial asks you to build one first, but by default you can store more than enough gold to get started. Once you do get a vault, you need to secure your money. There are a few storage solutions for gold, and using the highest tier one means you get the most efficient storage in terms of space, but also the most secure. Imprisoning is something that you can do to enemy investigators as well as your own minions, but that's more for fun than for anything else. It's all good fun, it gets you a bit of intel, but aside from that, it's just taking more and more time to get the same results, and often results in more deaths and more time spent fighting for little gain. That being said, it's always worth getting intel when you can. It's one of the most valuable currencies, especially once you get into the mid-game, so stock up as much as you can early on. You should always be distracting if you can. It buys more time and reduces the stats of the enemy investigators, meaning they'll be easier to take out and more likely to leave before they find anything suspicious. Speaking of which, keep your suspicious rooms as far away from the entrance as you can. It doesn't matter if they get into your base and find a barracks or a canteen, they can be in any building. An incineration room that smells faintly like cooking human flesh, that's a little sus. So keep these rooms as far away from the entrance as you can. The traps in the game are basically guards that you don't have to feed. They work automatically unless they get hacked and can cause damage, freeze, and generally slow down and hassle enemies attempting to get into your base. Unfortunately, they also have no legions, so if your minions happen to be in the firing line of your traps when they go off, then they will be equally as affected. Doors use power and not every room needs one. The tutorial gets you to place doors on rooms like the barracks, but you only really need doors on rooms you don't want agents getting into. Unneeded doors are just a sap on power and time as minions slow down to get through them. Doors also have 3 settings that determine the speed that people can go through them. Always set this to the longest for secure areas to increase the time taken for enemies to get in. You can never have too many minions. Get as many regular minions as you can by building as many lockers as you can comfortably afford. You only have to pay skilled minions. Once you train a minion to have a role like a guard or a scientist or anything that isn't basic, they will require upkeep in the form of wages, so only get as many as you need. The basic ones, you don't have to pay them, they're doing it for exposure. Henchmen always recover, so don't be scared to get them in combat, especially those that are specialised in combat. Even if they get knocked out, they will always get back up and back to work in a few seconds and recover stats super duper fast. Evil geniuses, however, do not always recover. If your genius gets taken to 0 vitality, it is game over, so prevent this from happening at all costs. By all means, get them fighting, but make sure they are safe whilst doing so. Geniuses and henchmen also have abilities. Use them. Depending on the character, this can be easier or harder if it's very situational, but if they have the stats available, then make sure they are using them as often as possible. Never sit on money. If your vaults are full, then spending money on something, literally anything, is better than letting it sit there. Otherwise, all income that is being made will be lost to the ether. Upgrade power generation when you can. Upgrading from the first to the second tier of power generators takes up 2 extra tiles of space and costs over 3 times as much up front, but doubles the power generation per generator. In the long term, this will save you a lot of space, even if it is a little more expensive. You can never have too many incinerators. If bodies pile up, you end up in a morale downward spiral. Make sure you have plenty of places to burn bodies central to your base so that you can get rid of them quick. Also, bonus tip, you don't actually need rooms to be separated by walls, so if you want to have a power room just off the side of one of your corridors with just a bunch of incinerators just basically at the side of the corridor, then definitely do that. If you do end up in a downwards morale spiral, then first of all, don't panic. It's very frustrating, but it is fixable. Put your genius or henchman at the entrance of the layer and pause all schemes to allow all minions to stay on base and regenerate your population. Eventually the bodies will be cleared away and the population will come back. You just might need to execute some deserters in the process, and that's why you put your evil genius by the entrance. If the deserter tries to get out, they'll have to pass by the evil genius, who will shoot them to pieces. Buying minions is a great use of extra cash. Minions automatically recruit, but spending 10,000 will get 5 instantly, so if you have a lot of spare change, then spend it here as they are always needed. Stay healthy. It's important in real life and it's important in the game. Minions lose health as they fight, so make sure you have enough medical beds to heal them up post-battle, or the next one will kill them quick. 1 per 4 guards-ish works quite well. Surveillance is key. Set up cameras in places that enemies are likely to be. The entrance to the lair, the vaults, escaping prison. This means that once they are spotted, guards will rush from the armory to either take them out, distract them, or imprison them. Standing orders save you time and suspicion. Tagging an area with a standing order means all investigators that enter that area are automatically tagged with the order to distract, imprison, or terminate. You have to research each one, but they are definitely worth it. Manage your 2 currencies well. Money and minions are the 2 currencies we're talking about here, so make sure you have a surplus of either of these, otherwise things will start to fall apart. Always have schemes running. If you have a criminal network that is doing nothing, then it's kind of a waste of resources. Send minions on longer money missions for some steady, low maintenance income without spending all of your minions. Little caveat to this, if you are running low on population, then don't send your minions out, wait for it to replenish, and then go right ahead. Always remember that the real evil genius is you. The evil genius in the game won't do anything unless you tell them to, despite proclaiming to be so superior, so make sure you micromanage them to make sure they are doing what needs to be done. Aren't you clever? Optional missions are optional. If you see one you don't like, then just get rid of it. You'll get another one in 5 minutes anyway. Make sure you have room to accept funds. If you complete a mission, make sure you have room in the vault before accepting rewards, or they will be lost. Listen to your minions. Those thought bubbles tell you what they need, especially if they're in red. Just check if those rooms are full, and then make more rooms or items of the same symbol if needed, and the issue should resolve itself. Lockers over bunks every single time. Bunks allow minions to refresh their stats. Lockers increase your capacity, which is way more important. Plan ahead when you're building. If that vault or canteen is going to get bigger, then leave the space you need and build elsewhere if you can afford to. Do not run out of power. If you overbuild and can't make any more power generators, then your base will be in the dark and barely anything will happen, which is a massive waste of time and resources. You can turn off items to save power. As a temporary fix to a power deficit, you can turn items off to bring yourself back in the green. This is any item that saps power, but the most easy ones to turn off that have a relatively low impact are things like doors or research equipment that isn't being used at the moment. Investigators can't report what they can't see. Even if an investigator gets deep into your base, as long as their suspicion is at 0, they can leave and it's not a problem since they have nothing to report about, so the heat won't get up. Speaking of which, manage the heat. If a region on the world stage is getting over half heat, then do something to reduce it. The natural increase combined with other schemes will cause it to reach max, which will just make your life a living hell. Now the global heat chart, which is in the handy chart screen, shows your heat with each spy faction. Try to keep them as low as possible to avoid lots of intensive raids. Super agents are annoying. They will appear in regions on the world stage and monitor your movements. Avoid run-in schemes in the same region to avoid heat building up and triggering them raiding your lair. Unfortunately, they also raise the heat of any region they are in, so even if you aren't running any schemes, chances are the heat will also increase. They raid your base and are super strong, and some of them can even teleport, but they can be taken out via side stories. These are long and sometimes difficult, but once you're done, you only need to worry about regular agents and John Steele, since he kind of just roams around anyway. If they do raid, then take out the main agent if you can, as they do the most damage and cause the most trouble. Avoid lockdowns as much as possible. Now we all know how much we hate lockdowns, and the game is no different. If a region goes into lockdown, the agency will get a massive increase to heat, which means more chance of more and better investigators coming to your lair. Always be researching. If you aren't, then you have a room full of expensive equipment and a load of minions that require wages going to waste. Yes, it can be expensive, but make sure to always have a project going. Let them stew. The longer an investigator is imprisoned, the less resolve they will have, which means less chance that they will escape and try to resist interrogation. Interrogate before it's too late. Don't forget about prisoners, otherwise they will eventually escape, which just means more hassle. Wait for them to stew, and then get rid of them. Make some honest money. Your cover business isn't just a cover. Selecting the scam option will actually make it generate a small amount of income. Not a lot, but it all helps. Steady money over fast money. On the world stage, money missions are often given in the choice of one short time and one long time. I always go for the long time as it means less management, steady income, and it doesn't burn through my minion population. Allow time for training. After a big raid and a lot of deaths or a mission that uses a lot of your minions' population, it will be down. Give your guys a chance to get trained before doing anything else, or they will always be lagging behind. Brainwash once you can. Upgrading from the interrogation chair to the brainwasher will mean enemies that you interrogate will defect to your side. This does mean no intel, but you can generate that in other ways. Loot is a hoot. The various loot items in the game are fun little side quests, but on top of bragging rights, they also offer various unique effects both on the world stage and in the base. The Trojan horse, for example, offers various opportunities to stealthily rob modern-day banks with a wooden horse.
Something is wrong with either the minions or the training room, boss.
Now this alert plays relentlessly, and it doesn't really tell you what's wrong. All it means is you aren't meeting your set amounts of certain minion types. Most likely, this is because you're sending a lot of minions out on schemes, or you just had a big fight and a lot of them died. Just get your numbers back up and it will sort itself out. If you really keep getting this message, then you might want to consider building more training areas. Always move rather than rebuy. When making a new room to replace an old one, make sure to move across older items that are still in use rather than selling them and rebuying. And that concludes 50 tips for Evil Genius 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was quite a lot of work for me. I've been really enjoying the game, despite what you may have seen on stream. Which reminds me, if you want to see me stream Evil Genius 2, Total War Warhammer 2, and a lot of other games, then check out my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/ColonelDamneders, and it'll be linked in the description as always. I stream every Thursday at 6 PM GMT and every Sunday at 5 PM GMT, so I'd love to have you. If you want to see more Evil Genius 2 content, then leave a like and a comment down below. As I said, I'd be more than happy to do videos on each of the Evil Geniuses or even each of the islands, just giving you a bit of a lowdown over how to play them and their specific style. If you did enjoy this video, then maybe consider leaving it a like. It would really help me out so very much. And if you'd like to see more strategy gaming content, then be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you. Now though, I've been COLONELDAMNEDERS, and I will see you next turn.